Starseeds and lightworkers. Something inside you has already decided. Not your mind, something deeper. A quiet knowing that where you are no longer matches who you are becoming, and no amount of adjusting or waiting has been able to silence it. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and I want you to hear this clearly. That restlessness you have been carrying is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something is very, very right. By the end of this message, you will understand why the place you have been sensing, in your dreams, in your quiet moments, in the spaces between your thoughts, already exists, and why you were never really searching for it. Every starseed who carries Sirian codes reaches a threshold where their energy field simply outgrows its surroundings. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, the way the tide pulls back before it moves somewhere new. The conversations start to feel hollow. The familiar places feel smaller. You begin waking up with a longing you cannot fully name, a pull toward something your eyes have not yet seen, but your soul already recognizes. This is not loss. This is repositioning. Your frequency is being recalibrated to match a place, a life, a current that is already waiting for you on the other side of this stillness. What the ancient builders along the Nile understood, what was encoded in the very stones they raised, is that the soul always knows its direction before the mind is ready to follow. You did not arrive here by accident. Something in you recognized this signal and followed it here. Because you are ready to stop calling this feeling restlessness and start calling it guidance. Stay with me until the end. What you are being guided back to is closer than it seems. And I am grateful you are here with me now. There's a reason the word home has felt complicated for as long as you can remember. Not just the house you grew up in or the city you've lived in for years, but the concept itself, the feeling of it, the wordless promise of it. Because somewhere underneath every address you've ever had, underneath every room you've tried to settle into, underneath every bed you've made in a space that was supposed to be yours, there's been a quiet ache that says, not quite, not yet. And you've wondered more than once if something was wrong with you for feeling that way. As if everyone else had found the thing you were somehow missing. If the rest of the world had been handed a map at birth that you were somehow never given. A map that pointed straight to belonging, to relief, to the exhale of finally arriving somewhere that felt like it was made for you. You've watched other people seem to settle. You've watched them hang their pictures on walls and call a place home without a second thought, without that low, persistent hum of something not quite right running underneath the surface of daily life. And you've smiled and nodded and tried, genuinely tried, to feel what they seem to feel. But every time you got close to it, every time you thought maybe this is it, maybe this time the ache will stop, it didn't. It quieted for a while, perhaps, but it never truly left. And in the silence of early mornings or the last few minutes before sleep, it always came back. Patient, persistent, pointing somewhere you couldn't yet name. Nothing is wrong with you. That ache is a compass. The sensitivity you've carried, the way certain spaces feel heavy the moment you walk in, the way some environments seem to drain you before you've said a single word, the way you've rearranged rooms and moved furniture and changed cities trying to find relief from something you couldn't name. That wasn't restlessness. That wasn't ingratitude. That was your energy field doing exactly what it was designed to do. Measuring resonance, searching for alignment, refusing to pretend that a frequency mismatch is something you can simply live with. Your body has always known the difference between a space that sustains you and one that slowly diminishes you, even when your mind was still trying to convince itself that gratitude should be enough. Even when the people around you couldn't understand why a perfectly good house, a perfectly decent city, a perfectly acceptable life still left you feeling like a stranger in your own story. Your sensitivity was never a flaw to be corrected. It was an instrument, finely tuned, extraordinarily precise, reading the energetic signature of every room, every relationship, every patch of earth beneath your feet, and reporting back with a clarity your rational mind had no framework for, but your soul recognized immediately. Think of it the way a tuning fork works. Strike it, and it will only vibrate in response to the frequency it was made for. It doesn't vibrate for every sound, only the one that matches its essential nature. You are like that. Your energy field has been struck by something far older than this lifetime, tuned to a frequency that most of the world doesn't yet have the instruments to detect. And when the environment around you doesn't match that frequency, you feel it, not as a vague discomfort, but as a physical, emotional, and spiritual pressure that accumulates over time until it becomes impossible to ignore. That pressure you've been feeling isn't dysfunction, it's data. And here's what's true. You can't keep ignoring it. Not anymore. Not at this stage of where you are. There's a reason water has always felt like home to you. If what you're feeling right now is confirming something you've carried your whole life, the Sirian Water Codes is your next step. And it holds ancient Sirian healing practices passed down through the waters themselves. Techniques for releasing energy that was never yours, activating dormant memory through the sound of rain, and sealing your frequency with salt and intention. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment, but only briefly. What's happening to you right now isn't a crisis. It's a recalibration. Your soul has been expanding, quietly, steadily, like water rising inside a container that was built for a smaller version of you. And this process didn't begin yesterday. It's been happening for years, perhaps for most of your life, so gradually that there were long stretches when you barely noticed it at all. But growth is not always visible in the moment. A seed doesn't announce itself while it's working beneath the surface. And yet, at a certain point, no matter how much you love the container, no matter how long you've lived inside it, no matter how much of yourself you've arranged around its shape, it simply cannot hold what you've become. The walls don't break dramatically. There's no clean crack, no sudden collapse that announces the transition. They just begin to feel closer, tighter. The ceiling feels lower than it used to. The air inside them begins to feel thinner, like breathing at altitude when your lungs are accustomed to sea level. And you start waking up in the morning with that familiar pressure in your chest, the one that has no name but says, clearly and without apology, "This is not where I'm supposed to be." That pressure isn't anxiety, it's preparation. So the Sirian wisdom that flows through the ancient teachings, the kind encoded in the stones of temples built before history, had a language for the stars, before civilization had words for what it was doing when it aligned its sacred structures with the rising of Sirius in the pre-dawn sky, has always understood something that the modern world has largely forgotten: that a soul's physical environment is not just a place to exist. It is a field that either amplifies or suppresses who you truly are. The builders by the Nile chose their locations with extraordinary precision. They studied the land the way a musician studies acoustics, understanding that the relationship between a structure and the earth beneath it determines what kind of energy can move through it. Not for convenience, not for practicality, for resonance. Because they understood that the land beneath your feet carries a frequency, a living intelligence that has been accumulating for millennia. And when that frequency aligns with yours, something inside you that has been quietly waiting, something patient and ancient and immense, begins to open. This wasn't mysticism to them. It was architecture. It was science of the most sophisticated kind, operating on principles that our modern instruments are only beginning to detect, and our modern language is only beginning to approximate. They knew that a human being placed in the wrong energetic environment would slowly diminish, like a plant moved from sunlight into shade. And they knew that a human being placed in alignment with the land's true frequency would unfold in ways that no amount of effort or willpower in a misaligned space could ever produce. Not because the land was magical in some separate supernatural sense, but because the relationship between a soul and its environment is one of the deepest laws of this universe. Resonance creates amplification. Misalignment creates suppression. And no amount of spiritual discipline can fully compensate for living your entire life in the wrong frequency field. You have been living in misalignment, and your soul has been trying to tell you that for longer than you may realize. Think back over the last season of your life, not just the last few weeks, but the months and years before them, and the dreams that felt more real than waking. The ones where you moved through landscapes so vivid and familiar that waking up felt like the dream, and the dream felt like the truth. The pull toward places you've never been but somehow recognize, a pull so strong it sometimes arrived as a physical sensation in your chest, like a cord being gently but insistently tugged from a distance. The images that surface when you're half asleep, landscapes flooded with a specific quality of light, bodies of water whose sound you know before you've heard them, architecture built to a proportion that feels correct in a way you have no rational explanation for. That isn't imagination. Imagination is something you construct. This is something that arrives. And this is your energy field already visiting the timeline where you are fully aligned, traveling ahead of your body, the way a river's current moves downstream before the water itself has gotten there. It's showing you what's possible. It's showing you what is, in a very real sense, already waiting. The place that's meant for you isn't somewhere you need to build from nothing. It isn't a future you have to earn through enough suffering or enough patience or enough spiritual work. It already exists. It exists right now, in this moment, holding a frequency that corresponds to the deepest layers of who you are. The frequency of it is already encoded within you, like a song your cells know by heart, even though your mind hasn't heard the melody yet, like a language your body speaks fluently, even though you've never been formally taught. And the reason you've been sensing it, dreaming of it, feeling drawn toward it without knowing where to look, is because the distance between you and it is closing. The current is already moving in that direction. The tide has already turned. Your only task, the only thing being asked of you in this moment, is not to fight it. Not to grip the old shore so tightly that you can't feel the pull of where you're meant to go. That ache you feel isn't emptiness, it's overflow. It's the pressure of carrying something immense in a world that doesn't yet have the language for what you are. What you have interpreted as absence, the sense of something missing, the sense of being somehow incomplete or out of place, is actually the pressure of abundance, of fullness seeking its proper container, of a river that has gathered too much water for its current banks and is beginning, gently at first, and then with increasing force, to find a new channel. That disconnection you've been feeling is not evidence that you've lost your way. It is actually the clearest sign that your codes are ready to come online, that the deep, ancient intelligence encoded within your very cells is beginning to activate, and the waters within you, long stilled by misalignment and suppression, are beginning to move, beginning to clear. Most starseeds reach this threshold and interpret it as failure. They take the confusion, the restlessness, the years of not quite fitting as evidence of something broken within them. They think, I should have figured this out by now. I should be settled. I should know where I belong. Other people seem to know, and other people seem to have a certainty I can't access, and so they push down the signal. They redecorate instead of relocate. They adjust the curtains and buy new furniture and tell themselves that the problem is aesthetic rather than energetic. They distract themselves with the noise of a life that fits on the outside and suffocates on the inside. A life that looks, from a certain distance, like exactly what it's supposed to look like, while inside the walls of it, something essential is slowly fading. They stay because staying feels safer than trusting a pull they can't explain to anyone around them. Because movement requires a reason, and the reason they have lives in frequency rather than in logic, in knowing rather than in argument. And the world they've been living in has taught them to trust arguments more than knowing. But you are here, which means some part of you has stopped pretending that staying is working. Some part of you, the part that showed up for this message, that followed the pull that led you here, has begun to trust the inner frequency over the outer noise. And that shift, quiet as it may feel from the inside, is enormous. It is the moment a river decides it will no longer be contained by a course that no longer fits it. Everything that comes after flows from that decision. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water, like the light is bending in ways that make it hard to be sure what's real and what's reflection. That fog isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's what happens when old patterns begin to dissolve. What when the structures you've built your understanding around are in the process of being replaced by something larger, something truer, something that hasn't yet solidified into a shape your mind can hold. The water has to get murky before it clears. Every spring knows this. The initial disturbance, the stirring of the sediment, the temporary opacity that precedes the return of clarity. If you've been waiting to feel clear before you trust what you're sensing, you may be waiting for the wrong signal. The clarity comes after the movement, not before it. You're not lost. You're in transition. And that, it must be said plainly, takes tremendous courage, even when it doesn't feel like courage at all. Even when it feels like confusion or grief, or the quiet exhaustion of carrying something heavy through uncertain terrain. Or there's something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life. Deeper than the beliefs you absorbed in childhood. Deeper than the limitations placed on you by people who loved you but could not see what you were. Every starseed carries a blueprint, a set of instructions written in frequency, not in words, not in logic, not in the kind of language that can be argued or explained or justified to someone who doesn't yet have the ears to hear it. This blueprint is the original version of you, the version that existed before this incarnation, before this particular body, and this particular name and this particular set of circumstances. It is the record of what you are at the level of soul. And that soul is not broken and searching for answers. It is whole and beginning to remember, beginning to surface, like an image developing in a dark room. Faint at first, then slowly, unmistakably, exactly what it always was. And that remembering often starts as a quiet feeling that you can't quite explain, a pull toward something you've never seen but somehow recognize, a nostalgia for somewhere you've never been, a longing that doesn't belong to this life but moves through this life like a current moves through water, invisible but undeniable. This is where many pause, Because nothing seems to be moving on the outside. The external circumstances look the same. The same walls, the same routines, the same geography. And so the mind concludes, nothing is happening. I must be wrong. But the stillness is not stalling. It's anchoring. Like a river that pauses in a calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains, gathering itself, deepening, feeling its way forward through the stillness rather than the rush. Your soul is stabilizing what it has already received before it can hold what's coming next. Think of it as an integration period, a time when the energy that has been moving through you is being woven into the fabric of your cells, your nervous system, your way of perceiving the world. This isn't delay, it's consolidation. The environment that is meant for you requires a version of you that is fully stable in your own frequency, a version that won't be destabilized by the enormity of what alignment actually feels like when you finally arrive in it. And that stability is being built right now, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, in the moments when you sit with the discomfort rather than running from it, in the moments when you choose to trust the current even though you cannot see where it's carrying you. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. Maybe relationships have changed in ways that surprised you. Maybe connections that once felt necessary have begun to feel distant or strained or simply quiet in a way they weren't before. Maybe new people have appeared in unexpected ways, carrying a quality of recognition that feels older than your acquaintance with them. Maybe certain places or conversations feel different, heavier or lighter than before, charged with a significance that wasn't there last year. That's not coincidence. When one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected, and the water doesn't announce its change of course. It simply begins to move differently, and everything that flows with it adjusts in kind. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need to explain it or justify it or make it comprehensible to people whose instruments aren't calibrated for what you're emitting. You are already transmitting it. The signal is already going out. And those who are meant to resonate with your frequency will find you. In the new space, in the new environment, in the life that is already taking shape on the frequency just ahead of where you're standing, just around the next bend in the river's course. This is the phase that often feels the hardest. Because it asks you to let go of things you've been carrying so long, they feel like part of you. Not just physical things, although sometimes it includes those too. The internal architecture of who you've told yourself you are. The belief that you have to earn the right to belong somewhere beautiful. That belonging must be justified by productivity, or usefulness, or proven worthiness. The expectation that safety means staying familiar, even when familiar is slowly diminishing you. Even when the very familiarity of the old container has become the thing that keeps you from discovering what your life could actually be. The emotional weight of a place that once held meaning, that perhaps still holds meaning of a kind, but has now held you back for longer than you've been willing to admit, has kept you small in ways that you've only recently started to see clearly. You have permission to set it down, all of it, not with resentment, yet not with the drama of a clean break or a burning of bridges, simply with the gentle, firm grace of someone who understands that the river doesn't carry every stone it passes. It touches them. It is shaped by them. And then it lets them sink to the bottom and keeps flowing toward the sea. You are not late. You are not behind. The delays, the detours, the years of not understanding what you were feeling, the false starts, and the almost arrivals, and the times you thought you'd found it, only to discover you hadn't. None of it was wasted. Not a single day. Not a single wrong turn. Because there are no wrong turns in the soul's journey. There are only the roots that build the kind of knowing that can't be acquired any other way. There is no such thing as a late arrival to the life your soul intended. There is only the perfect moment, the moment when every layer of who you are is ready. Not just the part that wants to move forward, but the parts that have been afraid, the parts that have held back, the parts that needed to be brought along gently. And yours is unfolding right now, not later, not once you've done enough work, or waited long enough, or figured out the right next step. Right now. The tide doesn't rush, it doesn't force, but it always arrives. It has never, in the entire history of the ocean, failed to reach the shore it was moving toward. And here is what everything has been building toward. You're not searching for a new home because something went wrong. You're being guided back to one because everything is going exactly right. And the version of you that was small enough to fit the old container is dissolving. Not violently, not catastrophically, but with the quiet inevitability of ice melting in warming water. Not in loss, in expansion. Like water released from a narrow channel into open sea, suddenly able to move in all directions at once, suddenly given the space to become what water always wanted to be when it was held in the narrow channel. Something vast, something powerful, something that breathes. What felt like confinement was the last shape you needed to outgrow before you could remember what it felt like to be free. What felt like limitation was, in the deepest sense, the final stage of preparation. And now that preparation is complete. The new place already knows you're coming. This is not a metaphor, or, if it is one of those metaphors that contains more literal truth than most statements of fact. The frequency of the place that is meant for you has been holding a space with your name encoded in it. Not in letters, but in resonance, in the particular quality of the light at a certain hour, in the way the wind moves through a specific landscape, in the sound of water over a particular configuration of stone, in the way the air will feel the first time you breathe it in, different from all the other airs you've breathed, charged with something that makes your cells remember something they've always known, in the inexplicable sense of relief that will move through your body like a wave when you arrive, deep and physical and undeniable. Oh, and something at the center of you that has been braced for years, held tight against the constant low-level wrongness of misalignment, will finally release. And something deep inside you will say, yes, finally. This, not as a thought, as a knowing. The kind that arrives before thought, beneath thought, older than thought. You chose to forget how to find it, not because you were weak, but because the kind of remembering you're here to experience required you to travel all the way through the uncertainty, through the misalignment, through the years of almost and not quite, so that when you arrived, you would recognize it not just with your mind, but with every layer of who you are. Not just with the part of you that reads signs and follows logic, but with the part that knows in the dark, and the part that recognizes without being introduced, the part that has been keeping the memory safe through every difficult year of this journey. Like a river that has traveled 1,000 miles, worn smooth by everything it passed through, every stone it tumbled over, every obstacle it navigated, every season of drought it survived, and every season of flood it carried. Finally, meeting the ocean, it was always moving toward. That is not the end of the journey. That is the moment the journey reveals its meaning. That is the moment all of the traveling makes sense. Not because it's over, but because you can finally see what it was for. Every moment of tension has been the water working on you. Every difficult season, every year of not fitting, Every morning you woke up in the wrong frequency field and still found the will to keep going. The water was working, smoothing away what didn't belong to your truest nature, releasing what you had absorbed from environments and relationships and inherited beliefs that were never really yours, revealing what was always there underneath. The essential self, the frequency original, the soul that came into this body with a specific purpose and a specific destination and a specific quality of light it was always meant to carry into the world. You are not here to find a place that tolerates you. You are not here to find a space that allows you to exist quietly without causing too much disruption. You are here to find the place and the life that reflects back to you what you actually are, and that mirrors your deepest nature with such precision that living there becomes a form of remembering every single day, a daily practice of being seen by the very frequency of the earth beneath your feet. And the fact that you're still here, that you stayed through every word of this message, that tells everything about where you are. Not everyone could. Not everyone in your life would. It takes a specific kind of readiness to sit with this depth of recognition, to let these words land in the place they're aimed at rather than deflecting them with skepticism or distraction. You're ready, not because everything is perfect, not because you have all the answers, or you've resolved all the uncertainty, or you know exactly what comes next, but because you're still moving, still listening, and still trusting the pull even when you can't yet see where it leads. Still here. And that continued presence, that continued willingness to feel what this stirs, is everything. Tonight, if it feels right, place your hand over your heart and say quietly, I trust the current. I release the old shore. I am ready to arrive. Leave one word in the comments, just one, that describes what this message stirred in you. Then find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. Because this space is where starseeds recognize each other, and that recognition carries a frequency all its own. If this transmission reached you in the way it was meant to, share it with someone who is quietly carrying the same pull. And if you'd like to keep receiving these messages, subscribe, because the waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering, and I'm grateful you were here.